Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to talk a little bit about Northern Lights, and I'm going to journey into the actual Northern Lights to see what Spirit has to say. A First Nation friend of mine told me a story about his elders were telling him that you don't whistle and yell at the Northern Lights because they can come down and burn you from the inside out. It's interesting because radiation burns from the inside out, and what is Northern Lights? They are radiation. Solar radiation from the sun that reacts to the actual particles in our atmosphere depending on how they're charged or what particle it hits. They create certain colors. But sometimes there seems to be more to it than that. Is it just solar radiation hitting our magnetic fields which creates the Northern Lights depending on how far they come into our magnetic field or where they're at, the location, the charged particles, and I could go on about them, but I don't want to bore everybody about that aspect of it. There is a scientific reality to everything, but there's also a spiritual reality. There's a lot of First Nations believe that their ancestors are within the Northern Lights. Are they wrong? A lot of scientists would say that it's hogwash, there's no truth to it. Well, I've experienced many times where the Northern Lights almost seem to do what I wanted them to do. There was one time I went for 4 days and up at the Dempster Highway in Dawson area. And the first night I said, I've been up there many times before and never had anything happen. But sometimes you just feel connected. You feel like there's a purpose to it. So I went out there, and one of the first things I seen was, like, one thing is that one of the first things I wanted to have happen is the Northern Lights appear over Dawson City, and the whole night there, Northern Lights were out all over Dawson. And I've been up there many times and I only got like one picture here and there that was okay. This time I got Northern Lights the whole night over Dawson. The next day I went up the Dempster Highway, and again the Northern Lights were all over the sky. And the third night I said, well, I never had any reds yet. Reds is a much harder color to come across in the Northern Lights, so I asked, well, there's no reds yet. And the next night there was reds. I'm not kidding you. It was like a slower night of Northern Lights, but there was a few bursts of beautiful red colors. And the fourth night I drove back to town, so it was I was just getting back on the fourth night back to Whitehorse. And a friend of mine, we decided to go get coffee, which is we never do very often at 10 o'clock at night. It's not something we usually do. But I decided to give him a call to see what he was like, and decided, well, let's go just take up to Fish Lake and we'll take a see what happens. And we go up there and bang, Northern Lights come out again. And they were out for most, and then they went back in and out for most of the night. And it was about 4 o'clock in the morning we started heading back, and it's getting dark, and it's getting light, I should say, about 5:30. So there was time, usually they dwindle off and nothing else happens. And one of the things I was saying to him is that I always wanted to have like a dragon or a phoenix or some type of really cool like animal figure come out of the Northern Lights, like especially a dragon or a phoenix. And he told me at the end of the night, and we talked about this sort of throughout the night about different things. He told me to go to the boat in Whitehorse, to Klondike, and which is right downtown. I said, oh, I don't know if I'd want to do that. But he said, I ended up going anyway after I dropped them off. And it was a display that happened that was just the best display I've ever seen. I can't explain how amazing, how beautiful it was, and how fast the Northern Lights were moving. I was shooting an eighth of a second, which is extremely fast for Northern Lights. And I got a shot of a phoenix and dragon type thing on that night at that time, and the many beautiful ones over the boat. It seemed impossibly good, actually, because they were so bloody amazing. And it just shows that sometimes you get connected to things, and people say, well, that's just a coincidence. Well, maybe it was. Well, it's a pretty, considering I've never got that shot again like that of the Phoenix Dragon, um, and I have to be talking about it just before it happened. You can call it coincidence or not, but I don't think it is. And you will see it on my different forms of that picture on my YouTube channel as well, on my banner. And you tell me, what do you think of it? It is not photoshopped. It happened within an eighth of a second later, it was done. It was completely changed and different. The thing is, was another time, let me tell you this one last thing and then I'll go into the journey. I was on the bridge in Carcross, and the First Nation elder was singing. The Northern Lights were all over the sky, running back and forth between the bridges, getting pictures from the left and to the right. And then he comes up to me and they start to slow down, and he stops singing, he introduces himself to me, and I shake his hand, and his hands were hot. It was minus 25. His hands were hot. Not like, and he only had like a regular shirt like I got on now. It seems ridiculously impossible, but it was. And he says, you want the Northern Lights to come back? And he says, yeah. So he starts singing again. And he's singing in his native tongue, and they come burst all over the sky again. And this happened about a few times, and it was like, and he's just eventually just started walking away the other direction and singing away. It was a pretty cool experience, and I have so many amazing experiences with Northern Lights. But let's just go see what Spirit has to say with Northern Lights. Just give me 1 minute. So I'm in the sky, and the Northern Lights are kind of all around me, and dancing around me, moving around me, and I'm moving as they're moving. It's like I'm controlling them, and I can do a dance around me as I move myself. And the Spirit comes to me, a Spirit that very much looks like the Northern Lights. It appears in front of me. She appears in front of me, actually. And I believe I know this Spirit. She says she's my great-great-grandmother. And she says that sometimes the spirits come down and dance in the lights to put a show on for people. Not all the time, sometimes we do not, but there is times when we're called upon, or when we want to. We all come down and dance in the lights. We all know where the Northern Lights come from, but what most people do not know is that the spirits can take control over the lights and dance with them, moving them around in a beautiful dance. There's going to be people out there that will disagree with me, but I'm telling you, you can go just like you did, dance among them, move them around in different shapes, in different directions, ever changing, ever moving. So is it that hard to believe that we can go within the Northern Lights to change them, to move them around? To give you a message, Joseph. We have done this many times for you, given you message in the lights. You know this inside your heart, that there's times when things seem to be just flowing perfectly. There's other times that you just were frustrated, stayed up all night long. But that also was a message of patience, a message that you have to come back to the spot a few more times, and then we will show you the beauty of the lights in this place. And this times you have to come back to one spot multiple times in order to heal, to grow. So the times that you wait for hours on end is also learning in itself. And when they come out, the energy of the lights go within your soul and energize your physical body as well. They energize your spirit, energize your soul. So we look at everyone on earth, come to the north and experience the beauty of the northern lights. But you may be asked to come back more than once to see the glory of them, because you're meant to come back to heal and learn to grow in the north. The energy in the north is amazing and beautiful. It is one of the few places that nature is still nature. Nature is untouched. Nature can be exactly the way it's supposed to be. So the message I say to the world is never stop believing in miracles, because the miracles can happen and miracles will happen. And one day when you come to the north and we wish to show you a display, we will show and dance with you. We will awaken your soul. But you have to be open. You have to be ready to receive the blessings of the Northern Lights. They will activate your soul in ways. They will open you up. They will raise your vibration. They will open doorways within your heart into the beauty of the night, the beauty and the silence of the night. It will make you not be afraid of the dark anymore when you see how beautiful the lights can be at night. How beautiful and quiet and peaceful the night can be. How full of love the lights are. It is a gift to the world, a natural wonder, a natural beauty. It will awaken you to yourself. And you'll be blessed with the love of nature in your hearts. That's the message from Spirit to you. For me, when I first seen the most beautiful display of northern lights. I felt like a kid, reborn. The whole sky lights up in colors, moving colors. And the northern lights themselves can be weak, like a white cloud in the sky, a haze. And then they can instantly transform into a beautiful, vibrant, dancing arc. Then that can explode into multiple arcs of dancing lights. And then they can move unpredictably in many different directions. And then they can open up above your head and rain down a portal of heaven amongst the sky. And the whole sky can be filled with the most beautiful, vibrant lights. And when they dance like that, they'll change your soul forever. But you have to be patient for the lights, because they do not always come out like that. But if you're meant to see them, you will. But sometimes you might have to come back multiple times. But that is just part of the journey. Thank you very much, and I'm Joseph Bradley. If you wish to do a reading with me, you can visit my website at AmonRaSThaAwakening.com. If you wish to see Northern Lights, I'm a professional Northern Lights photographer, and you can visit my webpage at josephbradleyauroras.com. Thank you everybody, and have a great day.